What is going on, YouTube? So coming back today with my Oakland Raiders football preview for 2016. So moving over to the AFC West, I believe I've already done the Denver Broncos. That is the only team out of the AFC West I've done a video for so far. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. So first, my three key players. This one's obvious. It's Derek Carr. I've talked a lot about Derek Carr this offseason, and I really think him and Blake Bortles are two of the quarterbacks that are ready to take that next jump to maybe being inside the top 10. Both of them arguably already are top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL after last season. But I really like Derek Carr's situation heading into this season. I understand Raiders fans' problem with Latavius Murray. The production, while he's a talented running back, the production just wasn't there in consistent numbers like you wanted it to be last year. But I still have faith in the guy, and I still think that the Raiders' running back depth is I think it's a little bit underrated, if I'm being honest. I mean, you look through some of the guys that they got for this year. I think DeAndre Washington's a real name to watch out for. The kid from Texas Tech, I really like what he was able to do at Tech. He was a very versatile running back, good out of the backfield as a receiver, a good leader on the team, and obviously a good rusher as well. One of the leading Big 12 rushers over the last couple of years, so he's definitely no slouch. But anyway, moving to my second key player, and I've got Amari Cooper. So Amari Cooper had a pretty big rookie season last year, and I think Amari Cooper's ready to take that leap into being a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's close. But again, I really like the future of this Derek Carr, Amari Cooper combination. And again, they got some talent at wide receiver too. Michael Crabtree opposite Amari Cooper worked out decently well last year. They got a whole host of rookie wide receivers. Couple that I like: Jadon Mickens, KJ Brent, Maxwell McCaffrey. So, one thing you got to keep in mind for this Raiders team this year is, while they have high expectations compared to what they've been over the last couple of years, this is still a team that is largely unproven, especially when it comes to playoff time. So let's move over to the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to start with Carl Joseph. Well, this is the last key player, so starting and finish with him. There's a lot of players you could choose on the defensive side of the ball, and Khalil Mack is the obvious choice. I really think Khalil Mack's going to have a huge year this year, but when I did my Texans preview, I was talking about how J.J. Watt, obviously is a most important part of that defense, best player on the team, and it's just not really worth giving a spiel about a player that you already know is going to be that good. There are a few other players I wanted to pick on here: Ben Heaney, Malcolm Smith, Reggie Nelson, Mario Edwards Jr. This is a very underrated defense. Carl Joseph, I think, fits in very well. I think they drafted him a little high, but he was a stud at West Virginia before he went down with that knee injury last year. Kind of a heartbreaking injury, to be honest. West Virginia's defense last year looked great, looked just unbelievable while Carl Joseph was there, and then they were still pretty good after he went down, but there was just a chunk missing from that defense that was just irreplaceable. It seemed like they lost part of their spirit, and I think that's a little bit of an edge, a little bit of an energy that Carl Joseph can bring to this Raiders team. So let's move into my worst case scenario for the Oakland Raiders, and I really don't think the worst case scenario will be that bad this year, because I really have high expectations for the Raiders this year. I think worst case scenario is 7-9, and they miss the playoffs. So my best case scenario is 11-5, and they win the division. That's best case scenario though, and that's shooting a little high right now. But again, I could see it happening. This is a Raiders team with tremendous potential this year, and this is probably the team that I had the most, by normal standards for NFL previews, unrealistic expectations for, because most of the teams that I've done previews for so far, very realistic, very normal expectations that you'll find from different people. But I don't think you're going to find many people that have as much faith in the Raiders as I do, so I guess that's something different. But my overall record prediction is 10-6. I think they will make the playoffs this year. You know, again, I can't mention enough how much I like the Raiders' situation on both sides of the ball heading into this season. Now, obviously, barring injury, this team should be good. Like, it's time. Like, Derek Carr had his breakout season last year. Amari Cooper had his good rookie season last year. You know, there's growing pains at running back, but it's time to start figuring that out. This defense looks like it's ready to go. You've had a little bit of time to build it around Khalil Mack. Again, one of the best defensive players in the NFL, just one of the best players in the NFL. He was my pick for Defensive Player of the Year when I did my NFL awards predictions. So, again, I got high expectations on both sides of the ball for this defense. This is a team this year that, you know, is playing in maybe the most competitive, well, I don't know. It's hard to say the most competitive division in the AFC. The AFC across the board, I think, has improved this year. Maybe the only team that isn't improved is the Broncos, and they just won the Super Bowl. So, you know, it's hard to improve from that. But, again, this is a team this year that has they have like I think a pretty manageable schedule, like outside of their division play. You know, they run into the AFC South, which isn't too, I don't think that's anything too difficult. I mean, you got to run into the Colts and the Texans, but, you know, neither of those teams is too daunting. Wait, do they run into the, I'm trying to figure out if they do play, yeah, they do play the Texans this year. And then Panthers are a tough one too, but, you know, I'm not expecting too much out of the Chargers this year. I still think the Chargers have a little bit more growing pains they got to experience before they really go back to where they were, you know, with that very competitive team in Phillip Rivers, like real glory days, like 5-6 years ago. You know, Phillip Rivers is still a great quarterback, no doubt in my mind. But either way, that's enough on my spiel about the Raiders and how they should do this year. So that'll pretty much do it for this video. I will be coming back later today with 2 more NFL previews to round out the day. And go check out my website. The link to the Raiders preview, and you can go check out all the other previews, will be in the description below. Go check out my Twitter. I tweet Sports Fire all day long. Go give that a follow. Give me a follow on Instagram as well. The link to both those will be in the description below. But anyway, that's pretty much it. So yeah.